Hey, what's up? Today's Tuesday. I'm Jim here for The Rough Cuts, and I'm continuing my John Carpenter series of reviews with Somebody's Watching Me. Now, Somebody's Watching Me was a TV movie John Carpenter wrote in 1978, and then he had the option on the script to direct, and then they picked it up and let him direct. He wrote and directed this. It came out the same year as Halloween. For a while before DVD, it was really known as John Carpenter's lost film. It had really scarce availability on VHS, but then they gave it a decent enough DVD release. You can actually get it on Netflix only as a DVD, not as streaming. A woman who moves into a big high-rise apartment that's looking directly at another high-rise apartment. She's being stalked. She's being watched through her windows. She gets creepy phone calls. She gets bizarre presents. And she's basically getting harassed as she starts her new life in LA, where she meets, this new guy and her friend Adrienne Barbeau, who's a lesbian. It was also titled High Rise, and it's really his first studio kind of thing. He worked independently on his two films before this. This is his third film. He did Dark Star and Assault on Precinct 13. I don't think he was really trying to fight the studio so much and taking as much control as he did on his independent films. It seemed like he really worked with the studio a little bit. He didn't get to score the film, somebody else did. Even his sound design, the way he uses score, is a lot more minimal than a lot of people would during this time period. It's very much like kind of a simple Studio B picture. I don't think, like a lot of his stuff, I think it's a B picture idea, but he directs it at an A level. I think this is just a simple B picture, but it's a good exercise for him, I think, and it was probably good for him to just do it and have it come out as a TV movie, just make some money. And it was the thing he made right before Halloween. You can tell there's some shots, like some perspective shots, and some really scary moments that I think, probably helped him prepare for Halloween. And I think he says that kind of on the DVD. This really isn't kind of one of the standout films of his career. It seems very toned down in something like Halloween or his horror films, There's not any real scary violence in it. Obviously they couldn't because it's TV. And the simple scares in it are really great. There's some shots at the end with Lauren Hutton and the main villain, and they're fighting on the balcony of this high rise, and I think that was really, really amazingly well shot. And they actually had her like kind of fighting a guy off a real high rise, and they're shooting directly down. It's aired in like November on NBC. I think this is like what NBC would let a John Carpenter TV movie be. And it's still a kind of a cool enough John Carpenter idea. Apparently it was based on a true story in Chicago, I think. I don't know. It's kind of like somewhat of a reverse Rear Window, and there's certainly a Hitchcock element to this whole film. It's very Hitchcock influenced to me. I mean, there's the Marnie shot that they did in Jaws also in this film. Even the way the score is done in the opening titles kind of makes me feel like North by Northwest. Like it's like a cheaper B Hitchcock thing. And a lot of times it feels like an old 40s movie, which I actually think works. It doesn't make it feel like it's a toned down TV movie. It feels like all of these scares like work organically in its own world, that the network censors weren't, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. He came up with a concept where someone's just harassing her over the phone. He's not like killing her friends who are having sex while they're smoking weed or something, which you can't have on NBC in 1978, but you can have in the theater. Whereas you look at this film and it's like, oh, just call her a bunch of times, and that's about all you could get away with in 1978. And so he used that to the advantage of the film, and I think that's very smart for being a TV movie. It gets a little dull. I think it's maybe a bit long. If this movie was an hour, I feel like it would have been a lot tighter, almost. Like there's just a little too much in there. So if you have seen Someone's Watching Me and you would like to talk about it, comment below in the comments, and subscribe to The Rough Cuts if you haven't already. Subscribe to my main channel, which is in the info box below here. Follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and potentially VHX, and follow Earl Barrett Holloway's Tumblr, who does the picture at the beginning and the end of this video. And that's it. And maybe I'll have another Carpenter this month. Definitely next month. Happy New Year, because it's 2012 now.